welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Karen.
Hello everybody, I am Shane and we're looking at part 2 of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's right.
So it's no big secret, right, that what we're talking about here is a split personality. Or sometimes they call it split personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder, multiple personality disorder. There's a lot of different names for it. But there was a pretty famous documentary that I saw on the streaming service.
Okay.
That has to do with a guy who's Billy. It's like called like the, I forget what something faces a Billy or.
That's a really famous one. I forgot the name of there's actually a book.
In the documentary, I think it goes off of the book, but this person has I think it's like 20 something.
I think 36 or something.
It's some crazy, some crazy amount of numbers, not just like 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just like, like dozens of different personalities.
So different personalities would kind of just jump out and then he would just be like a totally different person.
They literally they have their own name, they have a different age.
Different identity.
Completely different. And sometimes this could be a grown adult, like the person that you know, but then they could change into like a child.
And even the voice would change too, right?
Yeah, the mannerisms.
And then even accent.
And so, like I said, it's no big secret that in this case, the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we are talking about somebody who has this dissociative identity disorder. But we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. So why don't we keep reading and find out?
All right.
For a few months after Hyde's departure, Jekyll seems to be in high spirits, attending parties and dinners with his friends. But one day, he suddenly begins refusing visitors. Instead of going out, he stays locked in his laboratory and prevents his servants from entering. Weeks pass, and Utterson grows more concerned about the doctor. One day, with the help of Jekyll's butler, he breaks down the laboratory door. But Jekyll isn't there. Instead, there is only Hyde, dead on the floor and wearing Jekyll's clothes.
So we're looking at part 2 of our interesting story called A Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So at the end of part 1, I remember there was a servant girl who saw Mr. Hyde killing a politician.
That's right.
Yeah. And then I remember Mr. Hyde ran away.
Well, that Dr. Jekyll suspects that Mr. Hyde ran away. Okay, so let's continue the story.
Okay.
For a few months after Hyde's departure, Jekyll seemed to be in high spirits, attending parties and dinners with his friends.
So in high spirits, meaning like he seems very happy and content with basically everything around him.
Kind of like in a good mood. If you're in high spirits, you're in a really good mood.
That's right.
We have a vocabulary word, departure, which is a noun, which is an act of leaving a place. So, for example, after her departure from the company, the business began to lose money. So she left the company.
That's right.
That was her departure.
Okay, well, let's continue. But one day, he suddenly begins refusing visitors.
So if someone came to his house or something, he would just be like, no, I don't want to see you. And he was not allowing anybody to come visit him.
That is so weird, huh? Because he enjoys parties, right? And having company.
Well, he definitely was while he was in high spirits.
That's right. So I guess he changed. Instead of going out, he stays locked in his laboratory and prevents his servants from entering. something weird is going on.
Wow, so he has servants and everything.
That's right. So he locked himself in the laboratory. So laboratory, that is a noun. Basically means a place equipped for making scientific experiments and tests. So for example, the science students were excited to do experiments in the laboratory.
Okay, and you might also hear laboratory, which is like in English. In the UK, they pronounce it that way,
Differently.
right? But we say laboratory in North American English.
Or in a lab.
Right, okay. So continuing the story, weeks pass, and Utterson grows more concerned about the doctor. One day, with the help of Jekyll's butler, he breaks down the laboratory door. Okay, so Jekyll's got a butler, he's got servants, and he's pretty rich, huh?
So what's a butler? A butler is a noun. Basically, it's a chief male household servant. And like someone who's taking care of his home and taking care of his needs.
So when you say the chief one, that means like kind of the one who holds the highest rank or position of the servants.
That's right.
And he's a male.
That's a butler. Okay, but Jekyll isn't there. Instead, there is only Hyde, dead on the floor and wearing Jekyll's clothes. Oh no, that is really, really weird.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Dr. Jekyll was not there. They only found Hyde, but Hyde is dead.
And wearing Dr. Jekyll's clothing.
Interesting.
Okay, well, I can't wait to find out. Let's take a break and find out what happens at the end.
All right.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。今天要继续来读 Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde 变身怪医的故事。那我们前一天读到一名政治人物遭到残忍谋杀，有人指出袭击者就是海德先生。那警方去他的公寓却找不到他，杰克尔医生也不知道他在哪，声称他已经逃跑了。那在海德先生离开后的几个月里，杰克尔医生似乎情绪非常高昂，还跟朋友们一起参加派对啊、晚宴。可是有一天，他突然开始拒绝访客，把自己关在实验室里，那也阻止仆人进去。几个星期过去，律师就越来越担心杰克尔医生。有一天呢，他就在医生的管家的帮助下，然后砸了实验室的门。可是杰克尔医生不在那里耶，相反的，里面只有海德先生死在地板上，身穿着杰克尔医生的衣服。故事听到这里，是不是觉得很奇怪呢？好 ，Karen 老师她刚刚用到 weird 这个形容词 ，W-E-I-R-D，weird 就是形容奇怪的、怪异的。那课文单字 departure， 它表示离开、启程或是出发，是个名词。Laboratory 或是念作 laboratory， 它是实验室，那常常会简称为 lab。另外文中他有写到说 Jekyll seems to be in high spirits， 这个意思是杰克尔似乎情绪非常高昂。那 be in high spirits 就是兴高采烈、兴致勃勃、心情愉悦的意思。这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 seem 当连缀动词，表示似乎、好像、看起来。那来看看它的常见句型是主词加上 seem 加上 to 加原形动词。那这个句型还可以改写成 It seems that 主词加动词。举例来说 Everyone seems to have a smartphone these days， 也可以说 It seems that everyone has a smartphone these days。 如今似乎每个人都有一只智慧型手机。第二个重点是 instead of 跟 instead 的比较。 Instead of 是片语介系词，后面是要接被取代的名词或动名词，表示代替了什么什么，而不是什么什么。例如 I ordered tea instead of coffee， 我点了茶而不是咖啡。那么 instead 是当副词，表示作为代替，反而怎么样，相反的怎么样，那它可以摆在句首或是句尾。例如 I had too much coffee this morning, so I ordered tea instead. 我今天早上喝太多咖啡，所以我点了茶作为代替。好，那接回课文中。
There is, however, a letter from the doctor. It reveals that Jekyll had wanted to keep his good personality traits separate from his bad side. So he created a potion that would turn him into Mr. Hyde, an evil creature who took on all of the doctor's darkest impulses. Hyde was able to act out Jekyll's most evil desires without any sense of guilt, while Dr. Jekyll could remain a respectable member of society. But over time, Jekyll lost control, and Hyde began to appear even when the doctor had not drunk the potion. Finally, sensing he was about to become Hyde forever, Jekyll wrote the letter and committed suicide. With that, both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, good and evil, died together.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Karen, can you remind us, before I continue the story, what happened before the break?
Okay, so at the beginning of part 2 of our story, we know that Mr. Hyde ran away, right? Because he was seen murdering a politician. So for a while, people didn't see Mr. Hyde. So Dr. Jekyll seemed very happy and content, attending parties and enjoying company of his friends and family. And one day, something weird happened. So Dr. Jekyll started saying no to the visitors. He said, no, I don't want people visiting me. And then he locked himself up in his laboratory. But then his lawyer, Mr. Utterson, was a little bit worried. So they broke in. And then they found Mr. Hyde dead on the floor, but wearing Dr. Jekyll's clothes.
So let's find out. So continuing. There is, however, a letter from the doctor. It reveals that Jekyll had wanted to keep his good personality traits separate from his bad side. So he created a potion that would turn him into Mr. Hyde, an evil creature who took on all of the doctor's darkest impulses.
So that's what happened. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they're actually the same person. Okay, so what's a potion?
A potion is just a mixture of liquids, usually used as medicine, or it could be even like a poison. Or it could be done like to kind of do something magical.
Like a magic potion.
A magic potion, right?
Okay, and we're looking at this word impulses. It just means a sudden wish or desire that makes a person want to do something. For example, you could say she had an impulse to break the plate. Maybe she was very angry at that moment.
Got it, right. Okay, so continuing. Hyde was able to act out Jekyll's most evil desires without any sense of guilt, while Dr. Jekyll could remain a respectable member of society. So Dr. Jekyll really just wants to act out his bad side, but he doesn't want people to see him doing it. In this situation, which is a little bit different than like multiple personality disorder, it is his personality, but he also has this extra potion that can change the way he looks. So he actually, when people witness him being a jerk or doing horrible things, it's not going to look like Dr. Jekyll.
That's right. Because he still wants people to look at Dr. Jekyll as a good guy.
Right. Okay, and we have a vocabulary word guilt, which is a noun, which is just the unhappy feelings caused by knowing or thinking that you have done something wrong.
That's right.
Okay. So for example, I have so much guilt about the horrible way I spoke to him.
Or you could say that I feel really guilty.
Right.
Okay, and we're also looking at this word here, respectable. And that is an adjective. Basically, it just means worthy of respect. So for example, you could say, my mother was a very respectable woman. Maybe she has done a lot of good things to other people, or she has helped people. She was very kind. So many people respected her.
Right. And so basically, in other words, she's just a good person that people look up to. Right?
Exactly. Okay, so let's go back to the story. But over time, Jekyll lost control and Hyde began to appear even when the doctor had not drunk the potion. Oh, so he could not really control Mr. Hyde anymore. Finally, sensing he was about to become Hyde forever, Jekyll wrote the letter and committed suicide. Oh, he could not control Mr. Hyde anymore, so he felt really maybe scared. He doesn't want people to know that's really Dr. Jekyll.
No, he doesn't want people to see his dark side. Right?
Exactly, and he committed suicide. Basically, he killed himself.
With that, both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, good and evil, died together.
That's right.
Okay, so commit. To commit means to do something wrong or illegal, right? So for example, you could say, although Paul committed a crime, he never went to prison. But when we're talking about suicide, you don't say, I do suicide. You say, I commit suicide.
That's right. That's the verb for suicide.
For suicide, right.
That's right. Okay, so we do have a what do you think question.
Okay.
So
bring it on.
Okay, here it is. Are there any aspects of your personality you wish you could get rid of? Is there like a dark side or like a bad side that you consider?
I wouldn't say that's really a dark side, but like there's a side of me, I'm a bit lazy.
Okay.
I don't like the way that I'm just not very ambitious.
Okay.
Or I don't know if I dislike it because it's just the way I am. But I feel that if I had more ambition, I would maybe accomplish greater things. And like, for example, my wife is very ambitious. She wants to, go higher in her career, and she really wants to, be very successful. Whereas I'm pretty comfortable just like, just have enough to live,
free.
Be comfortable, and have quite a bit of freedom to take naps when I feel like it.
That's true. I mean, there's always pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
So because of the way you are, you get to really enjoy your life.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us, and I think this was a really interesting story.
I have to agree with you.
It's a very famous story, and we know a lot about it in pop culture, but the actual story and events that took place, well, now you know.
That's right. So if you guys really enjoy the story, you can also check out the movie too.
Yeah, right. All right, that's all for today.
Bye-bye.
好，那故事就接着写到，有一封医生所写的信，信中揭露了杰克尔医生想把自己好的人格特质与坏的一面分开，因此呢，他就发明一种药水，可以把自己变成海德先生，利用这个分身，毫无愧疚感的表现出他最邪恶的欲望。那这样一来，杰克尔医生可以继续维持着受人尊敬的社会成员的形象。但是随着时间推移啊，杰克尔医生他失去了控制权。海德先生甚至开始在这位医生没喝药水的时候出现，最后医生意识到自己即将永远变成海德，于是就写下这封信自杀了。Shane 老师刚刚在聊到这一段时提到 multiple personality disorder， 这是指多重人格障碍。那么单字 guilt它表示内疚、愧疚或者是罪行、罪责。Sense of guilt 就可以表达罪恶感。再看到 respectable， 它是形容值得尊敬的、正派的。那么 commit 它表示犯罪或者是做错事的那个动作，犯或者是做。那文中用到 commit suicide 就表示自杀。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，这边要介绍的是 turn 当动词，它可以指变成、使变成、成为，那可以当及物或不及物用。它的用法来看一下，第一种是 turn A into B， 或是 turn A to B， 表示把 A 变成 B。例如 The witch turned the princess into a sparrow， 女巫把公主变成一只麻雀了。 那第二个用法会是 A turn into B 或是 A turn to B，A 变成 B。例如 In the story, the king and queen turned into stone. 在故事中，国王与皇后变成了石头。好，那么以上的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
For a few months after Hyde's departure, Jekyll seems to be in high spirits, attending parties and dinners with his friends. But one day, he suddenly begins refusing visitors. Instead of going out, he stays locked in his laboratory and prevents his servants from entering. Weeks pass, and Utterson grows more concerned about the doctor. One day, with the help of Jekyll's butler, he breaks down the laboratory door. But Jekyll isn't there. Instead, there is only Hyde, dead on the floor and wearing Jekyll's clothes. There is, however, a letter from the doctor. It reveals that Jekyll had wanted to keep his good personality traits separate from his bad side. So he created a potion that would turn him into Mr. Hyde, an evil creature who took on all of the doctor's darkest impulses. Hyde was able to act out Jekyll's most evil desires without any sense of guilt, while Dr. Jekyll could remain a respectable member of society. But over time, Jekyll lost control, and Hyde began to appear even when the doctor had not drunk the potion. Finally, sensing he was about to become Hyde forever, Jekyll wrote the letter and committed suicide. With that, both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, good and evil, died together.
Hey, 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 it's KiWi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie. Oh, can I borrow maybe some money because I ran out and I want to go get some drinks.
You ran out of what?
I ran out of money, you know?
You ran out of money? Your money got up and ran away?
No, that's a phrase and it basically means I don't have any money on me right now.
Ah, okay. Does that mean we're going to be working on phrases today?
Sure does.
All right, let's go check it out. Let's learn some new phrases today. Okay, the Chinese phrase is 酒肉朋友.
I would go for fair weather, but that's just a guess.
Bad weather friend.
Fair.
Okay.
上面那个跟他一样。
Fair weather friend.
Fair weather friend.
Fair weather friend.
Fair weather friend. Do you have fair weather friends? Yes, they are fair weather friends. Okay, but what about the next phrase? What is it? Let's see. 心不在焉.
Hearts in the clouds.
Head in the clouds.
Which is the correct phrase? Heart in the clouds.
I would say head in the clouds. Heart in the clouds. 我也是 head in the clouds.
Head in the clouds. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah? And you are correct. It is head in the clouds. So what have we learned today?
Let's review the phrases that we learned today. The first one is fair weather friend. And it is someone that only comes around during the good times of a friendship. However, you'll find that when you really need them, or if you need their help, they're nowhere to be found. This phrase comes from sailors. When people set sail, they want easy and pleasant weather for smooth sailing. This is called fair weather. So when you have friends that don't come around when you really need them, they're called fair weather friends. Our second phrase is head in the clouds. And this usually means someone that is daydreaming or absent-minded. They're really not present or aware of what's happening in front of them. It's like their mind is somewhere else. This phrase dates back to the mid-1600s. And back then, they didn't have planes. So clouds were so out of reach for people. And this was a way to describe people that were creative, because you didn't know what they were thinking about and their imaginations were so far away. So sometimes it seemed like their ideas were unbelievable to others, so they would tell people to get out of the clouds. All right, these are the phrases that we learned today. KiWi later.